What's going on, everybody? So this video might go out before the other video that I videoed. Video. But I brewed a lager. I haven't even thrown the yeast in there. It's been sitting without yeast for almost 2 full days because the brew jacket, I'll show you here in a second, the brew jacket takes a little time to get the temperatures down, but right now it's at 59.3 degrees here. And I've got it dialed down to about 54 because I need to get it down to at least 54 to ferment. And I got my little blow off set up so no foreign air can get in there. I sanitized this thing really good, so I'm not really worried about infection, and if it happens, it happens. I mean, this is my first time doing a lager. If it was an ale, I would already had the yeast pitched. So what I got to do, I didn't realize that I have to do a yeast starter for this. So I want to do the yeast starter tonight, but there's a problem. I don't have any DME, no dry malt extract. And you need dry malt extract for starter because there's some nutrients in there along with the sugars and everything. You can't just use regular sugar for a yeast starter from what I understand. If you can, correct me on that in the comments down below. But what I've read, because I'm very new to lagering, so this is kind of a new adventure for me, is you have to have yeast nutrients and sugar for the yeast to like grow in population and everything. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to head into the kitchen and I'll show you what I bought in lieu of the dry malt extract, because I read that you can use this stuff, and so we're going to give it a shot. Let's go to the kitchen. Okay, so we're in the kitchen and let me show you what I bought for this whole deal. You're looking at Malta Goya. What Malta Goya is, I come to find out, is it's basically an unfermented malt drink. It's non-alcoholic, but it is essentially the wort before you ferment. So it's going to take about 4 of these bottles because I need about 28 ounces, which is close to around 800 milliliters. But it is 800 milliliters, I believe. But yeah, this is just this. It's just this malt beverage, and it's got. Let's see if we can get the ingredients on there. So there's the ingredients. It's got water, high fructose corn syrup, which is AKA sugar. It's got pale malt in it. It's got some caramel in it, some malt. Actually, I think it says caramel malt. Actually, some caramel color, and it's got hops in it and some other items. But people swear that they make yeast starters with this thing. So I'm gonna try it, see how it goes. I'm just gonna pitch the lager yeast in it. But let's give this a shot and let's see how it goes. These are little twisty tops on it, so I'm gonna set you up over by the stove there. And we got our flask already on the stove. Yes, you don't have to boil. You can actually cook right in the flask if you want. And that's what I want to do. And it doesn't hurt. It does help to have like a mitt handy for this. I don't have actual mitts, so we're going to use this guy. I'm just going to grab it by the top, you know. And as we heat up this Goya, Malta Goya stuff, that should do the trick. So let's go ahead and get them in there. Got my little yeast pack here, just letting it kind of sit out and warm up. Got my stir bar here for later. We will sanitize both with Star San here shortly. So let's get the Malta Goya in here. Now some people say, oh, you don't need to boil it or whatever, but you know, I'm being a little more cautious here. Yeah, it's good. It smells like wort, man. Yeah, it looks just like a wort. That's one. Had a little hiss to it. But I guess there's a little carbonation here, but we're going to boil it all off. Alright, I'm going to do a couple more. Got a little smoke on them, so I guess they are. Alright, let's do one more. You know what? Let's get her heated up and then maybe I'll do. Let's go ahead and get her heated up. I want the flame not going around the flask, I want it underneath the flask. And we're gonna let this heat up. Alright you guys, like you can see I got this thing boiling. I'm also trying to keep anything from running down the sides of this. Don't do this at home, kids. But I'm trying to keep the stuff from boiling over like mad. So I got this towel here to catch everything. Working out pretty good. I think if I could do this over though, I would just do it in a pot because it's just the carbonation and everything. So yeah, but it's pretty much done. It's pretty hot. I'm gonna kill the burner. Yep, see? That, I tell you, it smells just like DME. Exactly like it. So what I want to do now is take it over to the sink. So let's go to the sink. Alright, you can see we got our extract here. Or Goya malt, whatever. We're going to set it in this ice. We're going to let it sit there for a minute. What you do here is taking the flask and just kind of swirling it around. Now we got our acid-based sanitizer here. Just going to kind of spritz around the top of the bottle. Don't worry about getting it in the wort. Ain't going to hurt it. I got a piece of foil here. Go ahead and spray it down liberally. Alright. I'm going to take it, put it around the top. Just like that. I'm going to continue to shake this for a little bit. Okay, so we have the yeast wort, store-bought wort, chilled down here, right there, right? It's nice and cold to the touch. It's about equal temperature to this, believe it or not. What I need to do now is just kind of spritz some sanitizer on here. Yeah. I use a paper towel because it's kind of just easier, you know, just wipe it up, you know. I'm just kind of sanitizing the stir bar here. Okay, we're going to flip this yeast over here and sanitize it. This is Star San. It works pretty quick. It's almost instant, really. It's an acid-based sanitizer, so you want to wipe it off your countertops, especially if they're not granite or whatever. Actually, it might not even be good for that. Yeah. So this is just kind of loosely sitting on here. So what we're going to do is pop it off. We're going to put our stir bar in there. You really shouldn't do it the way I did it. You should try to slide the stir bar down. We can put it on the plate here. I'll show you. This is actually a guy who makes stir plates called stirstarters.com. I'm assuming he's still in business, but we can get it spinning pretty good. A little stir bar will get the work spinning, as you can see. And what'll happen after I pitch the yeast, it spins good for now, but as the yeast starts to flocculate and everything and fall to the bottom over time, the stir bar will actually not spin as good. But that's full blast spinning right there. You don't really need it at that point, but we're gonna leave it there for a minute while I pitch this yeast. So here we go. I got our sanitized set of scissors here. Get the cutter open. Oops. Alright, let's go ahead and attempt to dump it in there. What I'm gonna have to do is do it like this. Squeeze that slurry into there. See all that? That's what we want in there, that yeast. So. Alright, so let's take a look. It's spinning around and around. We're gonna make sure it's centered on the stir plate. I'm gonna move it out of the way here a little bit. I'm gonna dial it down to about there. We're gonna see if this thing flocculates. Now here's how you'll know if a yeast starter worked or not. A lot of times if you're not here to like observe the action because you're at work or whatever, you'll see a bunch of residue all over the inside from krausen that was there, because these move pretty quick. Once they start fermenting, they will start just doing their job, and you may not be around to see it actually happen, but I have seen it in work before. But this is just sitting at room temperature, about 74 degrees right now. And what we will do is when this is done, if it works, when this is done, we will can't put it in the fridge, help all the yeast settle to the bottom, and I will cant off most of the liquid and just save the yeast slurry, and then that will go into the fermenter. So I should be able to pitch this by tomorrow evening, and hopefully my lager is okay, you know, or my wort is doesn't get a wild bacteria or something, because I haven't pitched yeast yet. So, but you know what? Live and learn. You know, how else are we gonna know if we don't? So, let's try that Goya or that Malta Goya stuff and see what it tastes like. Why not? I'm gonna either really like this or hate it. All right, here we go. And I found this in the international foods aisle, if you will. So you pop this off with one hand. I did it with one hand. All right, man. Bottom up. Or bottoms up. It's not bad. Not bad at all. It kind of tastes like a sugary, like a soda. It's carbonated for sure. I boiled a lot of that out of the wort back there. So, but it's kind of syrupy tasting, definitely malty, a dark malt. It tastes very dark, but and it looks dark. Let's be real. But yeah, man, Malta Goya. So if I can get this thing to focus, Malta Goya. This is a cheater's way of making a stir starter. Yeast stir starter. This is a cheating way to make a yeast starter when you don't have any DME, from what I understand. But yeah, you can see stirring along. It definitely tastes like a wort, and I bet you if I carbonated my wort and didn't ferment it, it would taste just like this stuff. Very sugary and super carbonated. But we'll see what the yeast thinks of it, huh? We shall see. Anyways, I'm just rambling now. So we will see you guys soon when this thing is ready. You might have thought I might have over sanitized a bit, but hey, you know what? I can't risk this beer going bad because I didn't sanitize enough. No such thing as over sanitizing, in my opinion. The more the better. And like I said, I sanitized the heck out of that fermenter, the lid, everything that touched that wort got sanitized really well sitting there. I don't think I'll introduce any bacteria into this. It does make me nervous to let a wort sit so long without throwing yeast in it, but I will be pitching the yeast tomorrow night. That's for sure. So we will see you guys here soon. All right, guys. So little update on the yeast starter. I'm not sure if it was working or not. It didn't look like it was getting a lot of activity. There are two things that I decided to just go ahead and go get some DME today. And I wasn't seeing a lot of flocculation with it, or if it was moving real slow. Also, the yeast I used was already past its expiration point, so I think it might have been real slow. It might have taken several days for it to get going. I don't have several days to be really messing with this, considering I'm on a time clock to get this yeast pitched in the future lager here. So I went to the homebrew shop and picked up some DME, and there it is. For those of you who don't know what DME is, it stands for dry malt extract. It's basically a dried form of the sugary substance you get out of when you mash your beer and get starts the sugar conversion going. So I went and got some of this stuff, and this stuff is really, really, really sticky, and it clumps real easy in high humid environments, which I live in, so I have to like kind of double bag it, like so. Got my sanitizer ready to go and everything, but yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a 2 cups of water to half a cup of DME starter, and that'll be it. So yeah. The Malta Goya stuff, Malta Goya stuff, just, I don't know if it was working or not. It wasn't very expensive to begin with to try it. So I just went and got a new fresh pack of lager yeast, Oktoberfest yeast, and we're gonna do it the regular way. So if any of you have used Malta Goya to do a yeast starter, comment below and tell me how that went. I am still kind of curious on that. So anyways, yes, I'm wearing the same shirt as yesterday. It's more of a night shirt at the moment. So it is definitely the next day though. That's what a regular DME starter looks like. It's 2 cups of water to half a cup of DME. And basically I put the yeast in here, and the whole idea is we will get the yeast cells up to a higher count so they can ferment the beer. Especially on a high gravity beer, you want to make one of these with any liquid yeast. And the reason being is that with a high gravity beer, you need a lot more yeast cells to help kind of tackle all that excess sugar in your high gravity wort. And high gravity meaning more dissolved solids in the water, if you will. The more parts per million. And that means higher alcohol volume when the beer is done. But for a lager, I've been doing some reading. For a lager, basically, you want a really, really, really high yeast cell count because the fermentation is slower. The first, I think it is like 20 days. It's like you keep it at like 54 degrees, And then after that 20th day, you raise the temperature to speed it up for a moment to help kind of clean up the rest of what might be in the wort. And you'll keep that temperature at like 60 degrees, 65 degrees for like 3 days. And then you will dive it down to like 40 degrees. And you'll leave it at 40 for like another 20 days or something. And what that does is it kind of helps clarify the beer, cleans it up a little bit. Any butterscotch flavors or whatever that tend to be off flavors from the yeast. It just kind of helps clean up the beer and clear it up. And so it's really called like cold crashing, and you can actually do that in a keg, which I might do it in a keg once I get to that point. Or we'll try and get the brew jacket down to about 40 degrees. It actually has gotten down to 53 degrees. I've gotten the brew jacket down to 53 degrees for fermentation, which is great. So anyways, I just wanted to check in with you real quick and tell you about that. And for those of you that are interested in my stir starter, this little stir box here. So there's a guy at stirstarters.com. He makes these little project boxes, and it basically has like a little CPU fan in there with some magnets on it, and the magnets help turn the stir bar. But you can actually buy the 1,000 milliliter flask, the stir plate, and the stir bar for I think I paid like $42 or something. I can't remember. It's been a while, guys, and I haven't checked to see if he's still in business actually, but if he is, it's not a bad deal, you know, for a little makeshift stir starter in it. And I don't even have a dial. This is all the way right here. I mean, it works really well. And it's got a little potentiometer dial here that you can slow down the stir bar speed, but you're basically just controlling the voltage output with it. And yeah, you can dial it up and down. I like to keep it about there. And the whole point of this is like it keeps the yeast from falling to the bottom and falling asleep. Because when you do a yeast starter, usually if you don't have a stir plate, you have to come by every so often and kind of shake this up so it resuspends the yeast so they'll continue to work. But with a stir starter, you just basically set it and you walk away and you check on it in about 18 hours or so, and it should be done. It's basically making a very miniature beer, if you will. But you're not going into the full fermentation process because you don't want it to do that. You want the yeast to be in a growth cycle. So you want them to be on the verge of just growing. And that's why you don't really do this for more than a day at most, because you don't want this to go into like a full-on fermentation. You want it to eat up the sugars just enough that they're gone, but then you don't want anything else to happen. You don't want any alcohol to really form too much in there. But yeah, if you're interested in a stir plate like this, stirstarters.com. That's where I got it about 4 years ago or so, 5 years ago. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there for any of you guys who are curious about what I'm using for my stir plate. I don't use it very often. I don't brew a lot of high gravity beers. This isn't really necessarily a high gravity beer, but it is a lager. So anyways, once again, we'll see you.